The early morning sun peeked through the dense foliage of the Kintampo rainforest, casting playful shadows on the ground. The air was alive with the sounds of birds and the distant roar of the waterfalls. A group of students from Sunshine High School, brimming with excitement, arrived at the Kintampo waterfalls for their much anticipated excursion. Miss Mensah, their history teacher, had been planning this trip for months. She believed that learning outside the confines of a classroom was crucial for her students. Today, they would explore the rich history and natural beauty of one of Ghana's most famous landmarks. The students, about 30 in number, buzzed with enthusiasm as they disembarked from the bus. Cameras clicked and laughter filled the air as they posed for group photos. Miss Mensah clapped her hands to gather their attention. All right, everyone, stay together and follow our guide. Remember, safety first. Mr. Ajiman, a local guide with years of experience, smiled warmly at the students. Welcome to Kintampo Waterfalls. I will be taking you through the trails today, sharing some history and making sure you have a wonderful day. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the group marveled at the towering trees and the lush greenery. They reached a viewing platform overlooking the waterfalls, where the water cascaded down in a mesmerizing display of nature's power. The students gasped in awe, some snapping pictures, whilst others simply stood transfixed. Mr. Ajiman began his narration. These falls have been a source of life and legend for centuries. The waters here are believed to have healing properties, and the area is steeped in history and myth. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the forest. Mr. Ajiman's smiles faltered, and he looked around nervously. A couple of students glanced at each other, puzzled. What was that? Kwame, one of the more inquisitive students, asked. Mr. Ajiman hesitated. Probably just an old branch breaking off. The forest is full of sounds like that. Miss Mensah frowned, sensing the guide's unease. Is everything all right, Mr. Ajiman? Yes, nothing to worry about, he replied. But his eyes darted nervously towards the canopy above. The group continued their tour, descending a series of wooden steps towards the base of the waterfall. The sound of rushing water grew louder, almost deafening. The mist from the falls created the magical, ethereal atmosphere. The students, now more spread out, continued to explore, laughing and chatting. Without warning, another loud crack resonated through the forest, this time followed by a series of sharp, terrifying snaps. The canopy above them seemed to shudder. Mr. Ajiman's face turned pale. Everyone, get back! Move away from the trees! Panic set in as the students and teachers scrambled to find an open space. The ground vibrated as something massive and heavy began to fall. Time seemed to slow as a colossal tree, its roots weakened by years of neglect and erosion, plummeted towards the group. Screams filled the air. Students ran in every direction, but the trees was too fast, too massive. It crashed to the ground with a deafening roar, splintering into deadly shards and sending a shock wave through the forest. When the dust settled, the scene was one of horror and devastation. The once vibrant group lay scattered and motionless, their cries of joy replaced by eerie silence. Miss Mensah, trapped under a large branch, called out weakly for help, her voice barely audible over the din of the still rushing waters. Mr. Ajiman, bloodied and dazed, struggled to his feet. He surveyed the scene, eyes wide with disbelief and sorrow. Help! Somebody help us! He shouted, his voice cracking. Nearby tourists and locals, drawn by the noise, rushed to the scene. Emergency services were called, but for many it was too late. The tree had claimed multiple lives, leaving others severely injured. The beautiful, serene waterfalls had become a scene of tragedy. In the days following the accident, the entire nation was in shock. News channels broadcast images of the devastation, and the names of the victims were read in somber tones. Questions began to arise about the safety measures at the site. As government inquiry was launched to investigate the incident, journalists dug into the management practices of Kintampo waterfalls, uncovering a disturbing pattern of neglect. The park's maintenance had been severely lacking, with reports of fallen branches and weakened trees ignored for years. Mr. Ajiman, now a key witness, testified before the commission. We had warned the authorities multiple times about the state of the trees. They were old and needed attention, but nothing was done. This tragedy could have been prevented. The commissioner's report was damning. It revealed that the funds allocated for the maintenance of the park had been misappropriated, and safety inspections were either falsified or not conducted at all. The negligence of the park's management had directly led to the fatal accident. Public outcry grew, demanding justice for the victims. The families of the deceased and the injured students filed lawsuits against the park authorities and government. Protests erupted, with people carrying banners that read "Justice for the Kintampo victims" and "Negligence kills." In a televised address, the President of Ghana expressed his condolences and vowed to hold those responsible accountable. This tragedy should never have happened. We will ensure that such negligence is never repeated. The safety of our citizens is paramount. Several high-ranking officials and park managers were arrested and charged with gross negligence and manslaughter. The government promised to overhaul the management of national parks and implement strict safety protocols. Months passed, and the scars of the Kintampo accident slowly began to heal. Memories were held for the victims, and a monument was erected at the site of honor those who lost their lives. The park underwent significant renovations, with new safety measures and regular maintenance schedules strictly enforced. Sunshine High School, forever changed by the tragedy, established a scholarship fund in memory of the students who perished. Ms. Mensah, now recovering from her injuries, dedicated herself to ensuring that their memories lived on. The Kintampo waterfalls, once a symbol of natural beauty, now stood as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and responsibility. The accident had left an indelible mark on the nation, but it also brought about necessary changes that would protect future generations. Years later, the forest around the Kintampo waterfalls thrived anew. The trees stood tall and strong, their roots carefully tended. Visitors once again flocked to the site, drawn by its breathtaking beauty and the stories of resilience and reform that followed the tragedy. Among the visitors was Kwame, now a young man. He stood by the monument, reading the names of his friends. He placed a hand on the cool stone, closing his eyes. "We won't forget you," he whispered. "Your legacy lives on." The waterfalls rolled on, a timeless witness to the passage of time and the enduring spirit of those who sought to protect its beauty. The lesson of the Kintampo accident echoed through the forest, a solemn vow to never repeat the mistakes of the past. The tragic accident at the Kintampo waterfalls occurred on March 18, 2017. These are some of the images of the tourist sites after the incident. Please do well to subscribe for more of these. Thank you.